Hey there guys, it's Joey and this is going to be the Witchy vlog for the Ogham Koad. And I'm going to change up a little bit and have me talking at the camera for this Witchy vlog. I don't normally do that. I normally have pretty items on show or whatever that are all corresponding to the energies of the Ogham, and I will still hold up pictures and things of relevance to this week's Ogham. I'm going to do it like face to face for a couple of reasons. One, it's been a bit of a weird week. A bit unusual, a bit different, and I didn't know whether or not I would have the Ogham oracle cards for a focal point for the codes, because I don't have the Ogham branches themselves. I do, as it happens, but I still decided to go ahead and talk rather than have the pictures on display and me talking in the background, because of a number of reasons. One, I'm okay. I'm alive and well, and I didn't cut my nose off. It's there. It's fine. And I know a few people have been a bit worried, and I just wanted to show my face. And we didn't have a Celtic calling last week for two reasons. And I'd say the two reasons are, one, I wasn't in the right mental frame of mind to do it. I'd been going through a lot and I couldn't really focus in a sort of a mental researchy way, and I wanted to at least make the very best attempt I could to research each god and goddess each week on Celtic calling. There will be one this week and we're going to carry on doing it. It's not going to stop all of a sudden, but I thought we would discuss why in brief that I didn't do it last week. And I thought that if I did it last week and my brain wasn't all there and I didn't give it enough, it wouldn't be really fair. The other side of it is, I think, a little bit of the energy from the Ogham, because Koad is all trees. Koad is the grove, the sacred space. So focusing on one god or goddess doesn't really work within the energy sphere of all trees. So it kind of didn't work for that. There's not been a specific spell for this Ogham either, and we will discuss that nearer the end. But we'll go through the diary with me talking and reading. Thrilling. So general meanings: attaining knowledge, unity, secret wisdom. Reversed, you can't see the forest for the trees. And I think we don't really need to cover that in too much depth, because we had the meaning in the connecting video. But it is important, I think, to note that the Druids saw groves as sacred spaces whereby they would place themselves in the grove and believe that that was the most sacred place in nature, and they could hear the messages of the gods. There's a quote being, "Be fearlessly authentic," at the beginning of the week. There is no place for deception in the sacred grove. You cannot lie or pretend or be deceived by others in sacred space. This is why grove is important this week, to retreat away from cruel deceptive manipulations of mankind, to seek inner guidance, divine love and prophecy in a sacred place. I walked to the post office and the sun broke through the dark clouds on me. The rain clung to the trees and the grass. A light wind blew and the trees waved. I felt touched by divinity. I felt my own inner strength and power, and the message that this is a beginning and not the end. I had a strong visualization of myself walking in black crow wing robes, half within this world, half within another. And it's heavily raining now, so there's been a lot of wind and a lot of rain this week. It's been very windy here, which is unusual, and very rainy. Not so unusual. But it's been really, really beautiful and really, really breathtaking within nature. What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside of you. Ralph Waldo Emerson. You are not a match, you are a goddamn wildfire. So this week I picked up some quartz with galena, and that's over there, and I should have picked it up, but never mind. Quartz with galena is a beautiful natural form of lead sulfide often containing silver. Grounds and centers your energies and allows the pathways between your physical and etheric bodies to align. Stone of harmony, stimulating interaction on all levels, assisting you in the elimination of self-limiting ideas. Do not make elixirs. Removes emotional blocks, impending spiritual growth, helps to ground, giving stability, clarity, and working through hard times. I meditated with tourmaline. I'd noticed something which upset me at the beginning of the week, and so I meditated with tourmaline, meditated a bit more, and did some blade dancing, which is something private that I do with the goddess Morrigan. The goddess Morrigan said to me, listen to your heart and soul and speak. Don't think about it, just speak. So I did, and I said, though you have torn my heart and may take victory from that, you haven't won. For my heart is torn, but you haven't broken me. You cannot. I will rise stronger and stronger still, and I will walk through life with my honest heart, and you will continue to lie and be weak. You will suffer for the loss of me, even if it is ego to think so. Morrigan has said that she will see to it, and I know that it will happen. I noticed something else this week, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. That is some serious rain. You can probably even hear that in the video. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Straight down. I wonder if we're going to get some thunder. Right. If we do, you'll see an excited Joey. I've noticed this week that there was another lady who shared a message about hating the fact that she was kind and always cared about people. And it was actually one of those Facebook sort of messages, you know, the quotes or whatever they are. And it was going on about hating being kind because you get used. And it set me to thinking about the fact that the world is kind of messed up in its promoting of that we should be cold and cruel and things. And I kind of talked about that in my healing video. And I was thinking there aren't enough kind-hearted people in this world. There really aren't. Like, using people is the norm until you decide that you're not going to use someone anymore and settle down. And I was just thinking, how sad is that, and how terrible it is that we promote this idea of, I don't know, you know, they're like the cold, hard-nosed businessman getting ahead, getting women, sleeping around, and I hate it. I'm like, it's such a disrespect for people. And I was just thinking how sad that it is that we've got to the point where people think it's a problem that they're kind-hearted and they care about people. I was just really saddened by it. So a few more, well, yeah. I was once afraid of people saying, who does she think she is? And now I have the courage to stand and say, this is who I am, Oprah Winfrey. I was tempted today to go walking in the rain. The other day I went walking in the wind, and then this felt right. I've been engaging very much in walks with the elements this week, noticing the light and dark patterns of the clouds. Today it was half and half, and on most days I've gone out there has been an element of dark cloud with the sun starting to break through, which is beautiful and really symbolic of what I'm going through right now. So a few more quotes. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm on my way. Carl Sagan. Faith over fear, only allowing faith to reside in my heart. As the quote from Spiritual Warrior suggests, faith is seeing light with your heart when all your eyes see is darkness. Ordinary life does not interest me, Anna Snin. Good things come to those who believe, better things to those who wait, and the best things to those who don't give up, seeking truth. We are sometimes taken into troubled waters, not to be drowned, but to be cleansed. Nature never did betray the heart that loved her, William Wordsworth. The key to transformation is to find your innate nature, We Sisters 3. And a quote from me all rights reserved. And sometimes I am overcome by the sheer beauty of this world. It's just a shame that so little of that beauty is human. It's not to say that human beings can't create beautiful things, because they can. And it's not to say that human beings don't show real beauty and love and caring for one another. They can. But quite frequently it just seems to be limited. I think, given Groan's link to the divine and messages and the state of my head, self-sabotage, insulting self, it might be wise to do some crown chakra work. I've been connecting very deeply to the Wild Unknown Tarot this week. That deeper sense of self, that they're quite, the Wild Unknown are sort of a little bit more difficult to connect with. They're not beginner cards. They take a little bit more time and meditation. And I did 2 readings and they're separate, and I won't be sharing them because they are private. I don't know if we're going to talk a little bit more about, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but I had been connecting with those for a deeper psyche type reading. In troubled times, maybe, and I really wanted to do the crown chakra work, the smudge, which is in the previous video. Connected to those things are purple and white, thought, universal identity, self-knowledge, connection to deity, wisdom, understanding. Many of the same messages that Koad brings into sharp relief. Some of the herbs for it are frankincense, lavender, lotus, neroli, rose, spruce, sage, copal and juniper, as well as amethyst, which helps spirit connections as well as clearing the realm of the mind from negative thought patterns, as well as depression, and quartz amplifying all of that. And I chose to go with neroli oil, which lifts one's soul out of depression, bringing peace to the soul. In both my tarot readings this week, the High Priestess appeared. I did one with each deck. The emphasis on the relationship with deity. So, in the Wild Unknown deck, the High Priestess is a white tiger, and there's something very striking about this card. I love white tigers. They are rare, powerful, mysterious, dangerous, nocturnal, strong swimmers, which is considered unusual for big cats, connecting them to the realm of water. And they are loners, secretive, hide their prey, secret keepers. The role of the white tiger, the white priestess, and crown chakra energy all connect firmly back to Koad. There's been a strong messages of being your own priestess this week, about going into yourself, about connecting back with deity, and when the world around you is making you feel like, you know what, bleh, then and everything is a problem, and everything, even little things in the mundane world are just harder than they should be, then it's the message is very much to be your own priestess, to communicate with divinity, to reconnect to everything that matters to you on a spiritual realm. I also found a blue-white empty snail shell earlier in the week, and it was the sort of idea that the spiral and carrying home around with you, and that sort of spiral of life, how things sometimes go back and get set back before they can really go forward. Those who have walked through the fire leave sparks of light everywhere they go. We Sisters 3. For a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. Cynthia O'Selly. Take a walk in the forest and smell the wild air. SaveTheTreeProject.com. Been seeing a lot of hawk imagery as well as white tiger imagery this week. This goes back to this card, as well as a lot of white tiger imagery. We'll start with the hawk imagery though. The hawk has a strong presence this week, as well as the wind being very strong. And of course Koad is related to messages, and messages of the gods was often perceived as the movement through the trees, the rustling of the leaves, that sort of thing. The hawk's excellent eyesight makes it a bird of visions, awakening the abilities of foresight and prophecy in those who work with it. The hawk of Achill was one of the oldest animals in Celtic legend. It plucked out the eye of the salmon of wisdom, symbolically gaining that wisdom. As one of the oldest Celtic animals, the hawk represents a far-reaching memory and the hunt for spiritual knowledge. Hawks kill their prey by piercing the animal's vital organs with their talons. The hawk therefore can teach us how to take hold of our dreams and champion our own hunt for spiritual wisdom. Hawks are the messengers between worlds, very much like crows, and seeing a hawk can indicate that messages of information are coming your way, from Woodfield's book. The hawk is associated with Morrigan for a lot of reasons and is quite frequently overlooked, like in favour of her obvious birdie birds, crows and ravens, but the hawk has a very definite connection to her. White tigers have no Celtic connection, and it always bemuses and it sometimes bothers me a little bit when these things happen and they're not anything to do with a Celtic thing. But they do have a Japanese connection, and I've long been obsessed with Japanese history and mythology and all this, that and the other, and whereas my path is not centered on that, that influence is around, and there have been like fox energies with a very specific Japanese slant in meditation come up, so I can't completely ignore that. White tigers represent finding personal truth. In Far Eastern astrology, the white tiger is a supernatural figure who presides over the western or autumnal quadrant of the sky, autumn being my power time. The spirit of the white tiger combines the courage and fairness of a soldier with the ethereal majesty and dignity. It's a little bit Morrigan-y in that sort of energy there. White tiger images pervade the remaining temples of the famous Shogun dynasty of Japan. They were painted on century walls to frighten away evil spirits. The white tiger's hide provides near perfect camouflage during the hours of dawn and dusk, dusk being my power time. Appears to be innocuous in areas of sunlight in the forest and jungle, whilst the darker stripes provide the illusion of shadow. Therefore, it is believed this is a spirit that dwells in both the realm of darkness, the physical realm, and light, the spiritual realm. Seeking personal truth, confronting your own shadows, accepting these with an open and understanding heart, whilst operating with the higher intent to change that which doesn't serve the growth of your soul along its life path. I thought I would try meditation with light. I could see a white tiger walking and swimming during that meditation, but not much else. You have to trust your own madness, Clive Barker. Man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he's both the marble and the sculptor, Coven of Caradwyn. And then my poem, Joanne Morris, 2014, all rights reserved. I am Koad, I am the sacred grove, the whisper of trees, prayer without sound. I am the circle of nature's whim, divinity all around and within. The leaves that sway whisper your name, to seek higher truth, to not stay the same. Joanne Morris, 2014. Okay, so this is Koad from the Ogham, which arrived today. And I thought we'd talk a little bit about the fact there hasn't been an actual spell work for Koad. And I was mulling around over it and about sacred space and things like that, and I think the problem with it is that sacred space and the creation of sacred space is a hugely personal thing within one's own practice. As I grew through my path, and I started off in the very beginning reading a lot of books around witchcraft and Wicca in the very beginning, and so my circle casting, that's where all my information originally came from, and I was very, very put out by the way in which the four corners were called, and anyone who has known me any length of time will already know this. And I decided that I wanted trees. And no, I wasn't going to listen to what any book said or what anybody said that I couldn't have trees in each of my 4 corners. So I picked a tree for each corner and visualised them as trees growing over from the 4 points as I was calling to the elements. So there would be a evergreen in the earth corner, for example. Sometimes decorated perhaps Christmas wise, sometimes not so much. Depends on how I felt about it. But there would be a tree in each corner, and that's how I would call the quarters. And when I was envisaging myself in sacred space, it would be in a grove. And until I really found out about the Celtic stuff, it made sense, but not as much as it does now, if that makes sense. So I was thinking about it like, well, I could share a spell for sacred space, but it's such a personal thing about how you choose to visualize. And I had many ideas about things that you can do to help you, and I've got some of them down here. So first and foremost, I thought about, if you wanted to, you could basically make a ring of stones that you could sit in. And my suggestion would be for tree agate or moss agate, if you really wanted to create a grove type thing, and to sit in a circle of those. Or you could place a few round a candle as symbolic of being surrounded, and then sort of energy build that in a visualization within your own sacred space. Or you could use green candles for that same idea. Now for me, if I really wanted to have a really powerful circle, I would use crystals, but I might also use crow feathers. I have quite a few crow feathers as I pick them up and they follow me around everywhere. So for me, creating a circle of crow feathers and then a circle of crystals, perhaps again the tree agate ones, or a combination of that, the candle and the crow feathers. And I enjoy very much sitting in circles of crystals anyway, and it's why when I can find good deals on getting, say, 10 tumblestones, I quite often do, because it means I can sit within the circle. I can make a circle, a physical circle, if you like, of crystals. And crystals, unlike candles, you're not afraid of having one behind you. I'm like the clumsiest person on earth. I'm quite likely to set my back on fire if I'm not careful, so crystals are a nice, good, safe option. Okay, so we covered why there wasn't a Celtic calling last week. There will be one this week. We covered why there wasn't a spell, and because basically I think that creating your own sacred grove or going out into finding a sacred grove is very much a personal experience, and there isn't really a spell that I can set up on that basis. I mean, I can give you examples of how I might set up a circle like I just did with those little props, but in terms of setting up your own sacred space, it really is what feels best to you. And if you can go out and find a grove, that's even better, because then you're experiencing it for yourself. Okay, have we covered everything? There's been a lot of energy this week about the difficulties of life helping us shape who we are, and only allowing faith into your heart, not allowing fear into your heart. The rejection of fear. And I think the rejection of fear is actually something I do want to talk a little bit about. Other people seem to be very keen on making us afraid of many things. Who we are, the path we choose, the way we decide to be. I often feel at odds with the world because of who I am and how I have sort of walked my path and how I've chosen to build myself. And it's not like all your school friends who are like, oh, and I went through uni and got a job and a house and that's it. And I'm like, well, you might have all those things and that's good for you, but you haven't been through the life difficulties that I have been through, and they remade me, you know. I was torn down and I have remade myself. I have built myself up again. I have sought to be a better person, and I'm not interested in that fake world of you are what you own. I'm really, really not interested in it. And I obviously have to exist within this world, and there are obviously going to be things I like and things I interact with, and clearly I interacted with crystals and candles and use all of those things, and they're either bought or I buy the components and make my own, It's the world we live in. We can't really fully escape it, at least I can't. So it's walking a balance, and that's what this week has been about the balance between being strong and feeling the pain of something, and light and dark, and seeing people have light and dark in them, and me too, and finding inner strength and to keep going, to keep being who I want to be, and not allow other people or the difficulties of life to stop me from being whom I want to be. So that is it for the witchy vlog this week with my face. We'll go back to normal next week and have images. But I just kind of wanted to put my face on this one. It's a little bit unusual. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit charm, alright. Many blessings.